Ah,
Everybody, good evening and welcome to Astrology Unplugged. I'm real glad to have you with us and some newcomers. And the way tonight came about is I've been thinking of some different things, and I'm trying to tell you, if I've been around a long time, what's going on with Eris and Pluto is extremely, extremely rare. And because of it, one of the things it's doing through the collective is inspiring everybody. It's really inspiring everybody to get with it, to get with the program, to do some outrageous stuff that maybe they considered once before. I'm going to ask Amy to unmute herself. Okay, so tonight I decided I'm going to not do what I usually do. I'm going to do a complete chart as if it's a complete reading. Because here's the truth of it. After doing this for so long, what happens to me is it takes me about 40 minutes, almost like clockwork. It takes me about 40 minutes to get introduced to the person, look at their energies, talk about this, talk about that. And the next thing I know is around the 40th minute, I start going, aha, I got it. And then it ends around the 70th minute. It just comes to an end. People don't usually like being pushed past the 69th, 70th, 70th minute or stopping short. But when you can certainly do too much in a reading, and then the person's brain starts getting fried, and then you lose the purpose of what you're doing. So we're going to talk with Amy, and I've talked to her before. And I'm going to focus on stuckness. And I've talked to her a little bit in the past couple of weeks about it. And stuckness, in my experience, has usually occurred when there's holding on. Sometimes you're stuck if your fingers are under a rock, but usually stuck is because you're holding on to a principle that doesn't make sense for your state of evolution. We're going to see, because I don't know. I've been wrong many times, so we're going to check it out. Also, I've found many times that when a person's stuck, it's not in the birth chart, it's in the sixth harmonic, which is the chart I call the destiny chart, which means the birth chart is doing pretty good, but they're not really getting with their destiny. They're not really getting with their hero's journey. So we're going to start out, keep it kind of simple. Amy is a Cancer. I've known her for about 10 years, I think. And we're going to show her chart. And I think she's in Wisconsin.
yes.
That's right. Okay. All right. So let me get it on your screen. Okay, here we go. All right, we're just going to go with what the chart says. We have a Cancer with with a stuffed up throat, as usual. Mercury and the Sun are in Cancer. Leo's rising, which I like. Moon is in Libra, which is nice. Jupiter's next to the moon. Jupiter's next to Neptune, which is very spiritual. The moon is quite a distance from Uranus, and it's in Libra. I like the Mars in Aquarius. What I'm talking about when I say I like it is each sun sign needs help in other ways. Some sun signs need more fire, some signs need more water, etc. So when you have a gentle, sensitive Cancer woman who's not married, right?
That's correct.
And what do you do for a living?
I'm a drug rebate analyst currently.
A drug rebate analyst. Would you tell us what that is?
Okay, so the state has the like the Medicaid program for the lower income people. And so Big Pharma has to give a certain discount back to even the state every time a prescription's written, kind of thing. And so
Okay.
those millions of dollars comes back in. And what I do is I analyze those invoices and I disposition those millions of dollars or pennies, whatever it is that they happen to send. And so the process keeps flowing.
Would you send a lot of that money to Pittsburgh? Hey, let's get some of that stuff flowing over here. Okay. First thing you want to see with a Cancer, it's really nice to see a strong, impersonal Mars in Aquarius. It's kind of like a bucket pattern, isn't it? Kind of like a bucket, and there's the head of the handle of the bucket. Why do I like that? Because it's not all personal. And there's no sign like Cancer to be more sensitive or get their feelings hurt or take things personally. I know America doesn't like ly on their adverbs anymore, but I'm going to try to remember to do that. So the Mars in Aquarius is really, really good because it gives her the ability to be a little bit objective about her feelings, gives her ability to be strong with people. And when Mars is close to the 7th house cusp, Mars is very good because it gives her ability to be assertive without worrying about hurting people's feelings, which is very common with Cancer. So we like that Mars. We like the moon in Libra, but it might be too soft because you've got two very soft signs with a sun in Cancer and you got a moon in Libra. And the problem with that kind of combination can be that they soften too easily to avoid confrontation. They give into it. She's sitting there shaking her head and smiling at the same time. That's okay. Now, you notice that moon is square to that sun. So she's born during a quarter moon. Okay, sun in Cancer, moon in Libra, Leo rising. Again, the Leo rising joins hands with that Mars in Aquarius, and it gives her some strength and some confidence in the self. And the Cancer is not too meek like it can be. All right, we look up at the top of the chart, we see two powerhouse planets sitting in the middle at the same degree. We see Eris and Chiron both at the 13th degree of Aries in the 9th house. The 9th house is your philosophy, however you came about it. And with two powerful planets in Aries, this indicates that she formed her own philosophy, and she'll argue with you and she'll defend her position if she has to, because she's got very strong beliefs. Now, just like with anything that's in Aries, she'll have a tendency to not have thought these things through as completely as she needs to. Like anything that's Aries, sometimes it just happens too quickly and it's not thorough enough. So maybe when you get to know Amy long enough, you'll start to see that some of her philosophical positions, once she thinks through them a little deeper, they might change a little bit. But there's a lot to be said about this position here. I'm going to tell you much more about this in a minute. There's a lot of positions here to study. The Mercury in Cancer is very sensitive in the 12th house. It's very intuitive. And one of the most intuitive signs of the zodiac is Cancer. The Venus in Gemini is very, very opposite. It's very playful. It doesn't want to go deep. It just wants to have a good time, and it wants to play around with stuff and not go deep, get into this and that. And sometimes it's a savior for her because it'll let things roll off her back instead of getting upset about stuff. We do notice the grand trine, the red triangle, which is Mars, and we see the moon, and we see Venus. So these are the two sensual, sexual planets, Venus and Mars. They're both in air signs, and they T-square to a pleasant moon in Libra, which is an air sign too. So this is a very strong hint that if you're dating her and you want to get far in the relationship, she's not a typical Cancer where everything depends on how sensitive you are. She really needs somebody that's intellectual. She needs somebody that's smart, because you get Gemini, you got Aquarius, you got Libra, you got strong grand trine going on. So to be charmed or to turn on her charm lights, you need to talk interesting theories with her, and she can battle with anybody with that strong ninth house that she has. So it's very, very important. And I would say in her past, if she has had relationships that have failed, it's quite probable they failed because they weren't strong enough intellectually. Does that make sense?
Yes, you're right on point with the intellectual part. Yes.
Okay. The biggest part of the chart, without a doubt, is this. And this is probably the reason this chart even exists, why she's here. I keep telling you, month after month after month in this forum, the Jupiter Neptune people, these are 3 degrees apart. They are very, very spiritual people. They have an innate, inborn, natural intuition, and they have a very strong natural faith in God, the universe, whatever you want to call it. But so many of them I've seen are born with these two opposite Saturn. I just did one the other day, just a couple of days ago. It was the center of somebody's chart. Must have been about the same age as you. So what this means is that you've got a lot of faith from many past lifetimes. You got a lot of faith, and you don't need to see it to believe it. You just believe it. You believe somebody's got your back, etc. But this up here doesn't believe anything. This is intellectually. I'm going to intellectually disagree with you. Why feel it in my bones? I'm a Cancer. I can feel things. Well, I'm going to disagree with it intellectually. How can this astrology junk work? How can this spiritual stuff work? So I believe it. I don't believe it. I believe it. I don't believe it. I believe it. I don't believe it. So that is really the core central issue in this chart. And this is why she took this lifetime. She took this lifetime, probably, I don't know yet, to conquer this ping pong effect between those two things. I've seen this before many times. So we go to her 12th harmonic, and that's the chart that shows her spiritual transcript. It shows her long-term spiritual, many lifetime tendencies spiritually. Does she go near to God? Does she approach God? Does she run away? Does she have him on too high of a pedestal? Does she put herself on too low of a pedestal? That's what this is all about. So we go and we take a look. We take a look at what it says to us. And we see in Amy, I'm going to set up her harmonics now. All right. We see in her 12th harmonic, here it is. Okay, so we see in her 12th harmonic, this is the history, the basic overall general history of what her lifetimes have been like as a male and female. We see number one thing sticking out is Jupiter Pluto sticks out real strongly in Aquarius. And this is all about, we don't know what it means, but we know from basic keywords of these two planets, this is about a power struggle. We don't know what this means. Will people given to get in power struggles with her? Was she starting power struggles? Was she forced into what? We don't know. And that's what's good about a beginner. Advice for a beginner. Don't try to solve it. You don't know yet. Don't try to solve it and try to make it up. There's some things got to do with power struggles. With the public, with people in her profession, 7th house. Now, or I just let that sit there. We zoom over here, and what do we see? We see the sun next to Uranus in the sign of Cancer in the 12th house. So we know she's been used to being Cancerian, and we know she's way ahead of her time. And these two planets could not be more opposite. I should say the sign of Cancer could not be more opposite than the sign of Uranus. So it's unusual, but we know that there's a real strong tendency here through many lifetimes of her being brilliant. That's what happens when the sun combines with Uranus. That's what happens when Mercury combines with Uranus by conjunction or by trine. She's got some potential genius going on here. We don't understand it completely yet. And what do we see? We see its opposite Venus. Wonder what that means. And it makes a T-square to where other than Saturn and Neptune. Things are getting complex now. Okay, we don't know what it means yet. We zoom over to the first house. We see two strong planets in Virgo, Eris and Chiron in Virgo. This is a very strong symbol that she's been a healer for a long time. She's been very much into alternative types of healing with Mars and Eris in Virgo. We don't know what she's done personally, but see, when you touch on it lightly and when you draw with a pencil, then your freedom is all throughout the chart to add whatever you have to add. What we're looking for is repetitive themes, you see. And when you don't start writing real heavy with the crayon or with the pen, you don't get a mud pie. We don't know yet, but we're building. And the way we build is we go back and forth between the 12th harmonic and the natal chart. So we know she's got bold ideas. She's not, here again is the second time that we're starting to see. You see, I don't make much difference between the 12th harmonic and the natal chart because the 12th harmonic is going on now. Even though it's a spiritual chart, it's being lived now. And if I learned anything through my personal past life visits, all your lifetimes are going on at the same time. They're going on at the same time. It's real hard to understand. So we see that she's got this, again, this ability to fight for her ideas, to assert her philosophy and fight for it. Here we see some kind of power struggle we don't understand. Here we see what we saw in the other chart, which was Chiron and Eris together. This time it's in Virgo. We see a strong people need, strong need to help people, maybe even as a healer. Sun Uranus, we see her being very brilliant, but you see the problem with Sun Uranus in Cancer is Cancer is a very backward looking chart. It wants to go back to where there's no change and everything's safe. And Uranus is opposite. It wants to go forward. Let's try. Let's just do it. Cancer wants to go back. So we're not sure what is meant here. So we just leave this being. We see the very strong mental, philosophical opinions, etc. So we'll stop there. And there's nothing wrong with doing it. Stopping and talking to your client. I'm walking you through how I do a normal chart. So I'm going to say to Amy at this point, so far, does this make sense?
It makes absolute complete sense.
Okay.
Yes.
When you say absolute complete sense, what are you talking about?
I'm talking about the power struggles. I'm talking about my strong opinions or beliefs. When I believe it, I believe it.
Mhm.
The whole about maybe when I was a little bit younger, about the go back, go forward, with the Uranus thing. Not so much now. I know going back's not going to get me where I want to go, so I have to go forward. So that's kind of like lesson noted. And as far as meeting people, yes, that's one of the reasons that I don't like my current job, because I have no contact one-on-one with people. I want to help people one-on-one or in a more personal way. And I'm so far removed from helping anybody personally that, so you nailed it. Yes.
Very, very good. Now, we're going to start to mix the last 3 weeks together with tonight's reading. And I'm going to tell you, you've been telling me for about a couple months now that you're frustrated. You want to go forward, but you can't get going forward. This is the definition of somebody saying they're stuck. You want to go forward, but you can't quite get it going forward.
Yes.
Okay. What I usually find when I'm seeing this kind of thing is the person wants to go forward, but they don't. But they do. But they don't. But they do. Now, if there's any sign in the zodiac that's ready, aim, stop, who is that?
Cancer, you're going to tell me?
It's Cancer. And I'm not trying to pick on Cancer people. I try to describe the archetype itself. And Cancer is very much like that. Ready, aim, stop. Why? Because Cancer's primary need is to protect the self. And if you go ready and you go aim, and then your mind quickly starts filling in the blank, what happens if I shoot? The police are going to come. What's going to happen? The deer's going to fall down. What's going to go on? And the Cancer interjects all that stuff and quickly turns it into fear. Then the Cancer stops. They lose their momentum. And this is why I said it's good to have a Cancer with a strong Mars. It's good to have a Cancer with strong Leo, etc. Now, remember, I'm not picking on a sign. I'm describing the nature of these signs. And all through these weeks, if you've read our book, you should understand me. When I'm talking about a sign, I'm never talking about a specific sign of a person I know. I'm always talking about down, nitty gritty, down to the bottom of what's in that sign, in that archetype. I don't know where it comes from, but it does. And you can see some Cancers are more like some archetypes, some Cancers are not. Okay, very good. Now I'm going to maintain my belief. Already, I'm going to hold to my guns at the very beginning. The problem in this chart is that you have great spiritual belief, but somebody taught you not to believe it. You have great spiritual belief, but some teacher tried to discourage you. You have great spiritual belief, but daddy and mommy said you can't do it, but the church said you can't do it. There's something like that going on. Okay? And when I talk about a spiritual regression, hypnotic regression, you don't need to go back and figure this out. All we need to know is that in your past lives, you've come to this tendency, and I'm telling you how significant tonight is. Okay? I didn't pick you. I didn't pick to do this topic. This was picked for you. And I'm going to tell you why. The past life chart shows great spiritual abilities, truth, destiny, great reverence and aspiration, etc. But the Cancer wants to be safe. All right? And the little pamphlet they open up says, you're going on a pamphlet, you're going to go on a spiritual journey, and it's guaranteed at the bottom it's going to be safe. Well, throw that thing out. Well, how do I know that's true? Right? Well, I've been told it's true. Throw that thing out. And I've been told it even before you know what you need, your needs are going to be met. Well, throw that out too. So what happens with you in your chart? Clearly, and I've known you 10 years, 8 years.
At least, I don't know, a long time it seems like.
150 years. What happens in your chart is your heart says, go ahead, it's fine. Then your mind gets that Mercury, and then Gemini gets involved. Well, you got this idea, and I heard about this, and I watched this happen on that show. And what about this idea? What about this idea? And it's called MFing, okay? Mind effing is what that's called. All right. But what I'm telling you, and I know this in my heart, and I know this because of the current storm of planets. You are now ready to put the Mercury out to lunch. You're ready. That's what's going on tonight. Okay, how long it takes, we're going to deal with this. Tomorrow, you're going to get up and go buy a great big fat bottle of champagne and have a little party. Crash it up against a boat or whatever you want to crash it up to, because you're ready. And what's happening? You are now ready to retire that Mercury and let that Jupiter, Neptune live spiritually. And I haven't even looked at your chart yet. We're going to see something tonight in the charts where your Mercury is being hit in some fashion and the Jupiter Neptune is being encouraged to where we're looking at this is very important, Amy. Up until now, you're what age?
I'm 50.
Okay, 50 is a big turning point.
Yeah.
Up at your first 50 years needed to be the way they are. And now that you're coming into your 51st, which is Chiron returning back to its natal position, you don't need it anymore. You needed to intellectually drag your feet, put the brakes on while you were driving, as your insides were getting so excited about spirit. Well, meditation does this, and going off by yourself does this, and this kind of music does this, and all these great spiritual things, and transitions do this and do that. But your mind just kept saying no, 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 no. And your mind was right for a while, but you're done with it. So you need to get rid of it. It's not even a matter of getting rid of it. It's going to die on its own tonight.
Awesome.
That's just how this works. I don't know why. In most of my readings, it's this way. So let's go and examine that Mercury, Jupiter, Neptune again. And I'll reiterate for you, for those of you who aren't certain what I'm talking about. In the birth chart, this Jupiter, Neptune, Jupiter being very passionate in Scorpio, Neptune being very, very holy and open and reverent in Sagittarius. These two are a massive symbol of great spiritual attainment because you've learned to love. You've learned to love and you've learned what love does. But when you took this lifetime, after you put Saturn there for a reason, okay? And this was all summated by going over your past life charts. You put Saturn there, well, you better make sure. Some of these ideas are kind of screwy, and some of these ideas are kind of half-baked. And I'm not sure, blah, 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 about these ideas. And these two could care less about the ideas. They're about the heart. They're about listening to Hendrix. You listen to where he's playing from. He's playing from the heavens. He ain't thinking about it. He's in the heavens telling you what it sounds like up there. That's why people marvel at him. This is up here saying, well, I'm not too sure, and I'm not too sure. And I heard about this before, and this could really fail. And this blah, 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 blah. Okay? So what do we see? We see a 1 degree Gemini. Where are the big planets now? Okay. The big planets right now, Pluto is about 24 of Capricorn right here. All right. And Eris is around 24 of Aries. So it's going to be several years before Eris gets up to here, probably 20 years, because Eris moves so slowly. It's going to be another 6-7 years till Pluto gets up on this, Mars, which is the tip of the T-square. The handle of the bucket. Okay, you think when Pluto hits that Mars, you're not going to step on the gas? Yeah, you are. Yeah, you are. And we go through your past, we would see other planets hitting that Mars. That's when you stepped on the gas in the past. So we got to see somewhere in these charts, the Mercury starting to peter out. Because the Saturn in Gemini, which is a mental caution, mental yellow flag, caution. Don't go there. I got this great spiritual belief. Yeah, I know, but don't go there. We got to see this planet being put to the side somehow. If the planet's not put to the side, it's not going to happen. You're one and the same. They have to happen at the same time. All right. The Cancer planets are not being hit. Mercury was being hit for a while when Pluto was back at 20, but that was a couple of years ago. And I would say when Pluto hit your Mercury a couple of years ago, you probably went through great amount of intellectual growth, intellectual deepening. correct?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So the thing that's going on that's got us all abuzz is the fact that Eris is here. Pluto is here. Better if I do the whiteboard. Let me annotate that for you. Let's see, draw this. Okay. So Pluto is about here. Eris is about here. Okay. Those are the two big ones right now for everybody. And last weekend, I started walking around talking to myself, going, what the hell is going on? And I looked, and 2 days ago, these two planets were within 2 minutes of each other. 2 minutes, not degrees. Last Saturday, they were exact. There's a lot of pressure right around the time the war ended. Oh, that's a coincidence. And the Afghan sun is over here in their chart. Pluto was exactly opposite the Afghan sun. Eris was squaring it exactly. All three planets were in the exact aspect. That's what it takes to end or start a war. Okay, so we see that this Eris is not really hitting Saturn, not really. And this Pluto here is not really hitting this Saturn. So we're not sure what's going on. So we're going to stop this for a second. And we're going to go back. We're going to take a look at your sixth harmonic. The sixth harmonic is my second harmonic that I work with 12th harmonic being the past life history. The sixth harmonic is your destiny. It's your go for. It is your spirit journey. It is your hero's journey, your mission. So let's take a look at your sixth harmonic. In your sixth harmonic, here it is. All right. What do we see in the sixth harmonic? She's got Pisces at the top, which means her mission in life. This is lifetime's worth of great evaluation of your spiritual mission. You've got Jupiter, Pluto at the top in Pisces. Now, Jupiter, Pluto, I remind you, is about power struggles. Okay? What does this mean? This means that one of the things you're here to do, one of the main things you're here to do through your own decisions, is you're here to battle it out with people that are giving you crap about spirit. You're here to stand by people in church that really believe and blow the other people out of the aisles, the ones that don't believe. You're a kind of a spiritual warrior. And I'm not exaggerating. I'm telling you what the planets tell me, and let the truth of the translation fall where it may. What, does that make any sense to you?
Yeah, it seems like, yeah, it's getting more apparent now that, yes, I feel like
Okay.
I'm speaking out more, like I'm just impulsed. I feel like there's this impulse to just keep speaking about certain things, and not everybody agrees with me, but yes.
That's exactly right. And this is the mortal sin in all of astrology. I don't care what your mama says. I don't care what your daddy says. What do you think about what I just told you?
I think it fits perfectly, because I'm always been the person, and I'm even more so now lately, speaking for all the people. Like I'm saying all the
That's
things
right.
that I'm saying all the other things that people want to say but won't say.
Yeah,
Or
but you're right.
go ahead.
No, you're right. But you can see what I've been telling you the past couple of weeks. The Pluto Eris is in the collective. We're all saying it now. We're all doing it now. Okay. Now, this is a very, very strong sign. This means you're born to do this. Okay. And when you see that natal chart with that Pluto Jupiter over here, what that means is you're really built to have a career doing this as a counselor, taking on some nasty stuff because you're here to say, yeah, don't give me that stuff. Don't feed my client that stuff. No, no, no. I'm going to protect my client. Don't feed my client that stuff. That's what your chart says.
Pretty much, I don't sugarcoat anything for anybody.
Exactly.
So that's exactly what that says
And
to
that's
me.
why I don't put a governor on when I'm talking. I just read what the symbols say. Okay, now let's go forward. This is a very difficult energy to interpret. It's one of the most difficult in astrology. People have it all over different times. And the reason is they're really strange bedfellows. One's about conservative and closure, one's about open. One's closed, one's open. So what do you do with these two? Saturn and Neptune are really strange bedfellows, and they're in a sign of Aries. So I don't know what we're going to do with it. We're going to leave it there for a moment. Here we see in the sixth harmonic, the third time we see Eris and Chiron together. This time they're rising and they're in Gemini. What does that mean? That means to accomplish your purpose, which is kind of battling the dragon, to accomplish your purpose using your magnetic Venus, Mars in Leo, you're going to just send out all kinds of newsletters and all kinds of videos, and you're going to announce it to people through websites and all this stuff. There's a real strong need for that in your chart. Make sense?
Yes.
I'm trying to find you. When I change screens, I got to find you. Okay. What I'm telling you now is now is the time for you to make this change. The reason you've not been able to get a job change in the past couple of months is you've been trying to change to a job type that you didn't want to do anyway. That's what's wrong. You've been trying to get a job, and you're into the job interview, and you're saying to the side of yourself, I don't want this job. I don't want this job. Hey, I'd really like to have this job. I don't really want this job. You think they can't sense that? Hell yeah, they can sense it. And as a former employee, and you must all know this too, the worst thing in jobs is getting rid of somebody that doesn't want to be there. It's the worst thing in the world because, oh God, now what do I do? What did they do wrong? Nothing. It's very hard to get people out of jobs that they don't want to be in because they're in it because they got this GD need for insurance and meat on the table and all these myths. And they think if they don't worry about them, they think if they stop worrying about them, they're going to starve. When God told us what? And your Jupiter Neptune tells you what?
I'll be provided for.
You'll be provided for. Okay, now you will be provided for. Why? Why will you be provided for? Something special about Amy?
No, just
No.
because.
Right.
Because no, there's
Just
nothing
because
special.
why? Because why?
Because I have that in my chart with the whole spirituality and trusting and believing, and I know that I'll be taken care of. But the little things, like you said, the Mercury and the couple other things that were there were making me stop and pause. And literally, I was thinking this was more my Chiron return, but literally I was like, for the last couple months, I just wanted to go tell my boss I quit and I don't ever want to come back without even having a job. But I know because it's only me, the responsible thing to do. It's not even about insurance for me. I don't even go to the doctor. So like that's not but I literally was like, I was so tempted a couple times to be like, no, I don't want this job anymore.
Okay, now I want to talk to you about a couple of things, and I thought that was wonderful. The reason that you're being supported from this spiritual Holy Spirit or the universe or whatever you want to call it, you were really close. But the reason you're supported is not because you got it in your chart. The reason you're supported is because of what you are. What you are. That's the problem with people on earth. We don't know what we are. We think we're all these individuals walking around totally separate, and God's up there and church is up there and holy people are over there and we're over here. We think we're separate when everything we're seeing in this quantum age is showing us over and over and over again, we're all connected. Now, doesn't it piss you off when you see some of your friends that are just so laid back? They're just so laid back, not a problem in the world, and everything just comes to them? Just kind of pisses you off. What's the thing that's happening? Is they're not worrying. They're not worrying. They've got faith. So therefore, in all of astrology, without a doubt, the number one problem with all astrology charts is lack of faith. You can't keep astrology separate from the spiritual. You can't keep it. They're not separate. They're the same thing. So what I'm saying to you is you've been fighting it for a while, and all these little urges you had that you stopped and repressed, they all did, just like a smoker quitting. Each time you quit, it does make a help. It does give you advance. It does help you when you finally do learn to quit, when you finally do quit. Those little failures really got you closer to where you're at tonight, which is the turning point in this chart. Your turning point now is here. You're ready to go. And because you know you're going to be supported is why you're going to be supportive. And you're going to be supportive because of what you are. You're one of God's children. Use whatever word you want. The son, you're one of the sons, you're one of the daughters, whatever you want to call it. You're going to be supported. And when you're back there wagging your feet and holding on to last week's talk about the branches, holding on the branches, holding on the trees, and the boat's trying to go down the stream, you're getting all beat up. That's what happens when you resist and you fight. But your Mercury's worn out. Your Saturn and Gemini is worn out. It has lost the fight. You can't fight Jupiter, Neptune. Jupiter, Neptune is knowing your place within God's heart, within God's world. It's knowing it. And you cannot mess with knowing. There's intellect, there's thinking, there's considering, then there's knowing. And when you know, there's no way to argue with knowing, is there? No. Why? Because you know it. Why do you know it? You know it because you know it. So really good stuff. Let's continue. I knew this would be intriguing, and I'm really glad we're into this. All right, now, we're into your sixth harmonic. Neptune has transited to about 22 degrees. So if we go back several years, let's go back about 5 years when Neptune was going over the top of this. Okay, so let's take the clock back. Let's take the clock back to 2016, and let's zoom in on Amy at work, and she's pulling her goddamn hair out because she doesn't want to be there anymore because there's no spiritual value to what she's doing. But it's getting through to her. It's true or false?
There was for the most part, yes, that was at the end of my other career. And then I got into like a part-time job that I loved on the health venue. And yes, that was short-lived, but yes.
But what was saying to you, you were saying to yourself, I'm ready.
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
ready to make this leap. But obviously, pure Neptune coming over there was not enough to do it. It was not enough to quiet down that Saturn that kept bugging that Jupiter, Neptune. So you continued on for 3 or 4 more years in a job that you're unhappy with, but you're staying sane and you're stable and the bills are paid. But now there's no more. There's just no more because of the massive force behind the Pluto Eris, which is pushing you. And I told you last week, your power is here. This goes for everybody. I'm not just talking to Amy. This is for everybody too. Your power is here. Do you feel it? Do you feel like if somebody messes with you, it's probably going to be a big mistake?
Yeah, it's going to be a really big hot mess.
That's right.
If I engage.
That doesn't mean you're going to punch him or something, but it means your passions are there now. Your passions are out front and you know they're going to lead you. And one thing we're all knowing by watching the news and by all watching the internet, your passions are going to lead you into alliance with all these other people that have these passions too. Can't you see it?
Yeah.
You should all be seeing this now. These other astrologers tell me it's Saturn's on Jupiter. Oh, yeah, good. No, these passions come from Eris and Pluto. Put them two together. Okay, let's go a little further because we're going to find some other interesting things. You're doing just perfectly so far. All right, here's your birth chart again. Okay, birth chart. Okay. So what do we see in the birth chart? Pluto is here. Eris is up here. Uranus is at 15 of Taurus. So Uranus has gone in, it's about here. And Uranus has just recently gone over 12. And when Uranus went over 12, what did it do? It squared the ascendant. See that? So for the past 3 months or so, Uranus has been squaring the ascendant, and I'll guarantee you that's exactly when you almost went in and told your boss about nice hiking trails. Because Uranus is like, I've had it. Uranus is, I'm up to here. Does that make sense?
Oh, spot on.
Okay, now I'm going to tell you something else. You were in danger at that time, because Uranus is a powerful cosmic force, and your only choice was to repress it, which you did. And I'll bet you that was no picnic. Did you fall and hurt your leg?
No.
It's a miracle that you
Amen.
didn't. It's a miracle that you didn't hurt your ankles during that time. That's how Uranus worked. Did you have any bad health problems at all about 3 months ago?
No, just besides the stress in my back from working, but other than that, no.
Okay. So that's not too bad. Stress in your back. Usually it's in the ankle area, and Uranus, other things are circulation, and also circulation and the lower leg is about it. Okay. So what we're seeing with you is about 3 months ago, when the planets square the ascendant and descendant, what that means is that planet has come to resolution, like the balance of a seesaw. That planet has come to resolution with all your relationships. So as of 3 months ago, you don't care anymore. You don't care anymore. Doesn't mean you're cold, but what it means is you're now even with all your relationships, all of them, mom, dad, kids, everybody. You're now balanced with them. You see who they are. You see who you are. You're balanced. You don't agree with how they live or what they think, but you're balanced. You are now at the fulcrum with all these people. So now whatever room I put you in with any kind of person, you are ready to deal with any kind of conversation. And if they try to poo-poo your phony spiritual backup, you're not going to be harmed by it.
No.
And you're going to actually feel sorry for them because they don't have it. Because what do you think you're going to need? All of you are Americans. You're all looking out, seeing what the hell's going on, right? Except for our Australian friend. I'm sure he can see it. America's in a lot of big doo-doo. It's in a lot of big doo-doo. The number one thing you're going to need to get through this time period, in my opinion, is some kind of connection. But you know that. I'm going to keep on working because I'm not satisfied yet. All right, let me go back to the chart. Okay, so we saw Uranus has been doing a number on your ascendant, and that's really getting better and better. And what Uranus really does is it makes you liberated, and you're accepting people, and you're tolerant of what they're doing, and you want them to be tolerant of you. But see, it's hard for a Cancer because Cancers are really concerned about somebody dumping them. Cancers can't stand that thought of being dumped or being left to the side. And you're past that now because the Uranian strength is here. Uranus is the strength of my individuality. Okay, let's take a look at what Saturn's been doing. Saturn's at 8 Aquarius. Saturn is here. Saturn's sneaking up on this. Okay, so in a couple months, Saturn's going to hit there, and then it's going to hit that Mars. You know what that means? That means that you are ready to take upon a whole new social position. And you've known this. You've been in this very responsible job with all this insurance and all this money, et cetera, but you're done with it. You're just done with it. You're ready now to take on a new spiritual position. And who are the number one best business persons in the zodiac? Cancer females. You are ready to start a healing practice. That's what this means. You're ready to open up a healing practice. Not tell you exactly what she's going to do. It's not going to be a healing practice. It's going to be a healing practice where she's the boss and she has all these healers working for her. Okay? And they're going to specialize in what? Cancer. They're going to specialize in treatment for females, treatment for children. Now, let's hear your response to this.
Right now, that sounds really lofty and just off the charts. Like, I'm not saying that it's not possible. It just seems like, holy, that's a lot.
Okay, now what did I tell you the last 2 weeks?
A lot.
If you're thinking something nuts, do it. And if you're not thinking something nuts, you're repressing too much. And I'm telling you, it's in there. And it wants out. You've got tremendous business skills. You've got tremendous personal skills. You got tremendous interpersonal skills. You got tremendous frustration with what you have been doing because it's too earthbound, and other people can do that kind of work. You're needed to lead a spiritual revolution. What are the people on this show? If we had to change the name of this show this week, we would change it to The Spiritual Revolution, because that's what the hell I'm doing. That's what I'm doing. And I told you you're going to get kicked in the butt because you're getting kicked in the butt because that's what the planets are doing. Or I could just hide it from you and tell you you're not being kicked in the butt and we could all kid ourselves. See? Now, it seems lofty, you said. I think that's a great, honest answer. But let me tell you what. In the next couple months, it's going to start becoming more and more realistic. One of the ways we're going to find out is we're going to do your recent solar return because you're a Cancer. So you must have had a birthday recently, right?
Yes.
All right. So we take your chart. There's Amy. We go into return. And what is the city you're in?
Madison.
Madison, Wisconsin.
Yep.
All right, I'm doing your solar return for Madison, Wisconsin. Okay, there it is. This is a chart of June 30th, your recent birthday. It's not by the calendar, it's by the stars. And I believe on that day, June, July, August, no. Pluto, Aries, no. Okay, this is a chart. And these things are very accurate. This is a chart of what your next year will be like between your last birthday and your next birthday. Now look at what's happening here. You get this wonderful, powerful Venus and Mars and Leo. Very charming, very energetic, very much, I'm going to do it, and I just go do it. They're both opposite Saturn. In this case, Saturn's not going to stop these two. Saturn's going to enforce these two. People have a wrong idea about Saturn. A lot of times Saturn emboldens something and gives it the strength, like pouring in good, strong cement footing. Look at the T-square from Saturn, Venus, Mars to Uranus in the 9th house. Okay? One reason that you said that this whole idea you're having seems a little outrageous or whatever that I put forth is because it's too outrageous to your philosophy. And that's why the revolution is taking place in your philosophical mind, because you're going to come out of this. I'm on a roll tonight. Watch out. What am I saying to you? Because you're going to see how all of this fits perfectly. You can't keep working in a corporation where you're safe, but you're dying.
Yeah.
Can't do it. You got this great life force in you, which needs to come out. Saturn is taking the lid off of your Jupiter, Neptune. And what's going to start talking to you now is your own God center. Ain't me. Looks like me tonight. Your own God center is going to start talking to you. So what did I see in the chart? You were going to take on a new role in the public because you've been planning it for a long time. In a lot of these jobs that you've been doing, they may not seem directly related, but you can easily see how these jobs you've been doing are going to really be necessary jobs you're going to need when you start a healing center. Now, it may not be a healing center per se. Hope to God it's not a Reiki center.
I don't know Reiki.
Good. Thank God. You're the one person I know that's not a Reiki master. Oh, God. Okay. Now let's stop right there. And I'm not going to keep putting piling words in your mouth. This idea of you becoming a leader of a company, establishing a company, or getting hired by one, for you to be this kind of a spiritual leader, how does this seem to you?
It seems way more feasible to me. Maybe it's the logical part, being hired by a company to do this because I am a leader. I've got all these things and I'm versed in so many different things. So yes, it would be so much easier just to walk in if it was already.
Oh, that's fine. That's fine.
Yes.
You don't have to invent the wheel. That's fine.
Yes.
But the position, because the thing is, if I'm a boss, I'm going to give you honesty here. If I'm a boss and you come up to me, I can just tell right away that Amy's going to take care of these people. She's going to take care of these problems. She's not going to mess with me. She's going to have the best heart of the business and the heart of these people involved. And she's also going to be able to fire somebody if she has to.
Correct.
Those are the things I just can sense that from you.
Yeah.
That Chiron in Aries and Aries don't hurt you any. So let's erase what Rick said about starting a business. Okay. Maybe somebody's going to hire you. I don't know. But maybe the next couple of years, you'll start working in that business, and then let's see what happens. This is really hard to tell. Okay? Now, I want to go on to some other things. But are you kind of warming up to the idea?
Oh, I've always said that I should be a boss.
But beside the boss, I'm talking about healing.
Yeah. Oh, totally. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
You always said that you should be the boss.
must be my Leo rising. Just
I think it's several things, but I think it's really good. And I'm not kidding you. You go into a lot of successful businesses, you'll see a lot of Cancer women there because they're just really good at leading a business. They just are. Okay, let's keep on moving here. So what we see, let's go back to the 12th harmonic. All right, here is the lifelong, many lives history of your spiritual journey. And your spiritual journey has been very advanced, but it's had Taurus at the top. And Taurus means I want to make the advancements slowly. I want to make the advancements sanely, not too quickly. I don't like things to happen too fast. I got these radical ideas. I've got this urge. See what happened to you in the past life is you got messed up somehow. I don't know how it happened with power struggles. And I don't think it came from you. I think that people saw you having the power and they try to stop you from having it. That's what I'm sensing here. Does it make any sense to you?
Yes.
Now, in your lifetime, how have you gotten, what has happened that's got you embroiled in such power struggles? What's caused these things?
Like a lot of time it's the principle of things. When I go head to head with somebody, it's like the principle of something. It's the basis of it goes back to that truth, that knowing, that whatever. And it's usually for the underdog, for, like I said, the little guy that doesn't want to speak up or can't speak up. I'm the person that, steps up to the plate and just says, this is what it is. Like, this is wrong, whatever the circumstances are. Yeah, I've had a few experiences where people have tried to push me around in this lifetime, and yeah, it didn't work out so well to their advantage.
I like how she put that. You hear that up in Ferndale, Washington? Huh? It didn't work out to their advantage very well. Okay. Well, I think we're in good shape here with this reading. I don't want to push this any further. We're ending right around now, even though it usually goes longer, because what matters is this. Number one, I really think you're breaking free. This is the time to break free from that Saturn and Gemini at the top, where you stop, you keep putting your brakes on your spiritual growth because of some lame spiritual idea. It doesn't work. Astrology doesn't work. Planets don't work. And you just stop fighting because you know they do.
Yeah.
Now, that's a big thing. That's the breakthrough we're talking about. That's the number one thing. That's not going to disappear overnight. But your near future, I don't think it's going to behoove you to keep searching for another job that's similar. Why? Because you don't want to be there. And the universe is trying to give you what you want, but not what you don't want. You see?
Oh, I already knew this. Even I applied for another, just to get away from my micromanaging boss. I literally did a lateral transfer for an application for another department just so I didn't have to be under my boss, to buy me some time. So I'm still in the same company and all that, to buy me some time while I'm still looking for another job. But I don't know how that's turned out yet. So
now this is very good. I want to talk to you about this. How long have you been there?
just about 2 years, not quite.
Okay. Did this current boss, who's not too favorable, just show up?
No, she's been there the whole entire time, but the problems have come in within when you said the Uranus the square came in about 3 months when I told her I wanted to move to a different team. Right. That's when all these issues with her, and all of a sudden I've been talked to a bunch of times about some really silly stuff. And it's just like, okay, she's younger. She may be mid-30s.
Okay, but I want to bring something up with you, and I want you to think about this.
Okay.
Okay. There is no boss. Okay. She is a manifestation of your own resistance. Think about it. You don't have to buy it. Think about it.
No.
Because that's what I've seen. One of the biggest things I ever see in astrology is when somebody is at work and out of nowhere, some nasty boss comes that really starts to stop them. It really is a manifestation of they don't want to be there anymore, but they don't have the nerve or whatever to get out. So I don't think it's anything more than that. I think you're going to get out rather easily. I think you're right on track. You're pretty much self-aware. I don't think that your doubt of your past spiritual beliefs is going to harm you much more, because I feel very strong with them, that you've got them really strong. And I think that's the main reason you'll be a good leader, is because you've got that really strong spiritual center. Now, when you think about becoming a leader inside some spiritual organization, what comes to mind?
connectedness is the first thing that comes to mind. We're all connected, so we have to, I mean, that's the first word that intuitively came to me was connectedness.
Okay, well, without a doubt, I think it's just as simple as this. Just keep your eyes open and keep reading, looking for opportunities, and they're going to come to you. They're going to unfold right in front of you. So what we want to do now is take a look at where Jupiter is, because Jupiter is the one that lands in your lap effortlessly, and you go, wow, that thing happened so easily. That's what Jupiter does. All right, so let's take a look. Jupiter is at 25 Aquarius. Aquarius. 25 Aquarius. Okay, Jupiter's about to go into your 8th house. Okay, it's about to enter your 8th house. So I think the day that Jupiter changes signs is going to be the day that we're going to see activity with new jobs. So what we want to do here is go take a look at when Jupiter. My mouse is going crazy. Okay, let's take a look at this. I think the day Jupiter goes into Pisces, here it is. It's retrograding. Okay, so we're going to have to watch it for a while. We're watching Jupiter here. We're going by months. Here it is. End of the year. End of the year. Christmas time. So I think you've got September, October, November, December. I think you've got 4 months to basically get your ducks in a row, and around New Year's, Christmas and New Year's, I think you're going to pretty certainly have some effortless openings happen in front of you. Like I said, it may not be the job yet. You may need to get your feet wet in the job first before you get a managerial job, but it's going to happen because you're destined for it. You just have the moxie for it. You have the maturity for it. I don't think there's going to be much of an issue. Now, don't end this by asking me about a man.
No desire to. That's the last thing on my mind. Career has been the only thing on my mind. Like the man has always been the afterthought. Like I've got this far through this pandemic.
All readings you used to end with where's the guy? Where's the guy? Well, there's no planet that brings a guy. Okay. And then what brings a guy is when you get rid of your junk. And what like beyond that, job. When you get rid of your junk, when you get rid of your emotional blockage, that's when the guy comes. But recently, I've seen a lot of people who want the guy, but they don't want the guy. And I can't help them. They want him, but they don't. Yes, I do, but I don't. Yeah, I do, but I don't. I do, but I'm doing fine. Well, I don't know what to tell you.
Right. No, my junk, as soon as I get rid of my current job and into my everything it'll all happen in divine timing. It's all good.
Well, I like what you're saying, because what I hear with you is you're not really glued to how magnificent Amy is. You're glued more to understanding that this bigger flow is working through you.
Yeah.
You know that. And that's 95% of the problem. Okay?
Okay. Thank you
so much. You can go somewhere and take some aspirin if you need to.
I'll need the aspirin tomorrow after I crack the champagne bottle. I normally don't drink, but I am going to take you up on that offer. So it's time. It's changing.
I want a photograph of the champagne bottle busted over something.
Okay, you got it.
Okay. Well,
thank you.
It's really good. Thank you very much.
No, thank you.
Okay, what I want to do now, I don't have the time to do another chart, but I want to do is show you that was a very typical reading with somebody who's really advanced, somebody who's really ready. And I don't even know, I never did find out why the Saturn at the top is going to subside, get off of her Jupiter, Neptune. But Saturn is who? Saturn is me. I'm Saturn, double Capricorn. Came through a Capricorn's voice. I don't know. And I don't worry about it. I could look harder and finer and do different kinds of progressions and all, and we would find it, but it doesn't matter. But you could hear in her voice, you could hear her readiness. You could hear the readiness. And in the past, she said she was ready, but she wasn't ready, and that was okay. And one of the things you see with this kind of work is you see all kind of people inventing all kind of ways to beat themselves up. We just love to beat ourselves up. Why didn't I do this before? Why didn't I meet Liza before I was 55? I don't know. And what I'm saying with most people is I wasn't ready. I wasn't ready for that fine salmon dinner with fresh pesto on it tonight. Oh, my God. Fresh natural pesto on top of salmon. It was like, I wanted to go out and march around the house. It was that good. Come on, let's have some questions about tonight's reading or type of reading. If you're not going to give me a question, I'm going to go to our reporter in Washington. Where's the salmon? In my belly, that's where. Boy, that was.
I have a question.
Yes, Claudia.
Would you be able to pull up her 12th harmonic again, if you don't
Sure.
mind, Amy?
Certainly.
I know it's something which
Here it is.
it made me think of something.
Please.
Okay, so
Hold on.
okay.
Here it is. Yeah, I don't see everything.
Yeah, no, I know. So I don't know
Look
how
at that
harmonics.
24 cardinal.
Yeah. It's something's happening big for Amy, as we know.
Pluto and Eris are hitting that Uranus.
So and you may not pay attention to this, but we're about to have a 27-degree Taurus eclipse in November.
No, I pay attention to it. I just got diverted by something else. 27 is right on the midheaven.
Yeah.
Okay, well, that's massive. But the massive thing is that Pluto and Eris are hitting Uranus, which are somebody's turning the key on her shackles that have been around her ankles for lifetimes.
Yeah.
Somebody is loosening the shackles on her 12th harmonic chart. So that was what we were looking for. I missed it and you got it.
That's fabulous.
It is fabulous.
Amy, I'm very happy for you. That's wonderful.
And I will tell a lot of you who may be more lukewarm with your studies that Claudia's going through a very exciting time because she's going through massive study. She's really into it. She's like a young Rick who just can't stop doing it. And when you do that, you just get your mind blown left and right and left and right. It's just all there. It's just there. Now, we're fortunate. I don't know how to put this. We're fortunate because something is watching over us. I don't know how to put it. There's something watching over this group. We've been here 4 years. We've talked about a lot of stuff. There's something looking over us, and we're people that really weren't into it kind of didn't last real long. That's okay. But I think we're all getting good source information from this group. But I said what I said mainly because Claudia's doing really well, and people need to know you're not here to become an astrologer. You're here to understand, and it'll help you in all kinds of different ways. It'll help. But if you are to, and if your chart shows the capacity, then by all means dive in and just do chart after chart. Anybody else? We got about 12 minutes left. Or if you don't say some, I'm gonna have to go to Linda Jordan. Come on, Linda.
Well, Shelby and I are here to serve. That's all I'll say.
Hi, Shelby.
Yeah, the minute that was funny when, like when right at 8 o'clock, I thought, where is she? Because she's always sitting here waiting. And all of a sudden I hear her racing up the steps from the basement to the cat box. And she jumps on the couch and there, oh, there. She's been sitting
Yeah,
there.
she's gonna have to become like a mascot for the show.
I mean, we have these familiars now, these cat familiars hanging around, which is funny. I mean,
Yeah, we do.
one of the things that I think is most remarkable about watching you read a chart, because sometimes when you do mine, I'm watching you do it and listening to what you're saying about me at the same time, but maybe more interested in watching you do it. But it was so great to see you really do a whole person's chart. But my guess is, and not because I don't hang out with other astrologers, is that moving between the natal chart and the harmonics is just so unusual, because what that does is it sort of opens up these sort of larger questions. You know, why is the natal chart what it is? You know, what are we here to do? You know, and what does that suggest about how to interpret the natal chart and the transits as we go through it? So, you know, I just, you know, I mean, I read astrology online. I mean, there's certain places I go, and some people I've sort of fallen away from because I think they're on the wrong road, so to speak. But, you know, it seems to me that over the time that I've known you and worked with you, you've just gotten more capable of holding those three charts in your head at the same time and understanding how they interact, the 6th, the 12th, and the natal. And I know, I just
Well, I think I'm lucky. I don't know why. I don't know how it happens, but it does happen naturally, and I'm really grateful for it. But I think one of the reasons I don't mess with it. I don't try to write a book about it. I don't try to sell it. I'm certain about it. I just keep proving it over and over to myself and to Liza, and I'm really grateful. And I think it's going to come out eventually in these videos. This is 239th one tonight.
I mean, you know,
It's going to be stored. It's going to come out to the right person, because not many people at all do harmonics.
well, I mean, the other thing is that, you know, when you say we're not all here to be astrologers, you know, it's incalculable how much astrology has helped me. And especially, you know, as we've gone through the last 6 or 7 years, which I think have been very difficult for people of any sensitivity or concern for humanity, you know, just the awareness that the universe has order, you know, you know, that there's energies that we can tap into, and that, you know, that as above, so below, you know, that whole notion really, you know, instead of people getting I don't get all worked up about things. I just look at things and say, okay, how can I bring my energy in the right way to make a small change here? Because that's really all anybody can do, you know? So I just think it's a super helpful tool. I don't understand why more people don't get it. you know, they believe in all sorts of crazy things, but you know,
Well, they don't get it because they hear this junk in the magazines and these junky astrologers, and they hear this junk about Venus and watching Mars and this the blood moon, and they don't know what the hell's what. I mean, to whittle yourself down to this kind of finesse takes many, many, many years, you know, and I'm just very lucky to have listened to Mr. Arroyo from the beginning. In case you're not aware of him, Stephen Arroyo is probably one of the greatest American astrologers ever. He kept things simple. He's retired now. He's a master at relationship astrology, and he's written a lot of books, maybe 15. And his books are just great at keeping things natural. But he taught me a long time ago that these planets are mine. These planets are yours. They're not out there. And I think that was a huge shift. And I'm really grateful to him for that. Okay, well, we got to let Susan get her bedtime out in Washington. She's falling asleep on me. Everybody, it was very good. Sorry to those I couldn't get to, but Arroyo, Arroyo, Arroyo. And just a marvelous, marvelous beginning, intermediate, and advanced teacher. Absolutely brilliant.
Can I ask what you think of Stephen Forrest?
I really don't know much. I just honestly don't know a lot about his work. So I can't answer. I know he's well respected and he's been around a long time and he's kind of leaning towards retirement now. But he's one of the good ones, I know.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, everybody. Well, what can I say to you? Hope the floods go past you wherever you are. I hope Susan does not end up in the Pacific Ocean, but nearby. We want pictures. We want pictures, and we want pictures of Amy's bottle broken over something with her tipping the glass. And next week I'm going to do it again. I don't know who, but we're going to do the same kind of thing because I think that's really well worth it. Because I imagine it's done a lot for Miss Amy tonight.
I can't thank you enough. It was so much. And then Claudia's observation. Thank you. That's huge. Both of you. I'm just so blessed to be a part of this group, and I can't thank you enough for the.
Well, honey, you're so welcome, and we're so glad you're on your way. Just don't forget us when you get famous.
I'm not going to forget you guys. I got to have some good old friends.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.
Good
Have a
night.
good
Thank
holiday.
you, Rex. This is great.